Ja teraz kłamię doesn't have an official English title yet, but the best translation from Polish would be I'm Lying Now. Out in cinemas now, new Polish production, also released in Brazil as far as I was able to check, but only on some random film festival, and I'm quite sure it won't get a wider release, which is a shame because it would appear it's not just a problem of distribution of the film but marketing as well. Even in Poland, the film wasn't heavily promoted. I first learned of its existence just by doing my weekly check of what's coming out in cinemas, and I saw the poster, which is awful and bland and uninteresting, and lost interest immediately. However, later I saw a trailer before another film in a movie theater, and I became curious because it looked closer to a thriller or drama in tone than a typical rom-com that Polish filmmakers seem to mass produce these days. And I noticed that the costumes and the hairstyles of the characters look kind of off. So like they were from a different time altogether, perhaps a non-existent time even, despite the fact that the story seemed to be rather modern. So without learning anything else, I just went to see it blindly, not knowing what to expect. And I was absolutely stunned. What a great film. I'll start with the premise, but will not reveal too much of the story itself because one of the key strengths of the film is how it slowly unfolds and all of its twists and turns. So we start off with three characters, celebrities that are taking part in a weird television show where the rules seem to be that they have to reveal to the audience the true reasons why they came on the show and why they need to win the money. And if the audience believes them, they win, otherwise they lose. So the characters are Celia, a middle-aged actress slowly being phased out of the business, Matt, her partner, a heavily drinking screenwriter, and Yvonne, a young singer whose second album is apparently less of a hit than the first one. They tell their short stories of financial trouble, but then the audience doesn't believe any of them, so they essentially go home defeated with nothing. And then slowly weird things begin to happen around all three of them. And when I say weird, I mean really, really out there. The best way to describe the film in short words is it's a mind-bending acid trip in the style of retro-futurism. Mind-bending because the story is told in non-linear way. It goes back several times to revisit some of the events we already saw from a different perspective this time, with more information. And because of that, you get that unique feeling of at first wondering what the hell is going on here, then thinking, okay, I think I got a grasp on this story, I know where this is going now, and then what the hell is going on again? You have this roller coaster of mystery and secrets being gradually exposed, and not just to us as an audience, but to the characters themselves. At times they are just as lost as we are in what's happening, and I think the movie puts us in their shoes very effectively. This concept of showing us something and then revealing it's actually something else works not just on the surface story level. The movie also goes out of its way to convey similar themes visually. There are multiple scenes and transitions between scenes where we think we're seeing one thing or object or place, and it's actually something completely different. This playing with visual perspective to complement the play on intellectual perspective is something done just about perfectly. In terms of looks and style, this may be the most creative and clever Polish movie that I have ever seen. This creativity also extends to the setting of the film. I mentioned that the trailer had weird looking costumes. Well, turns out that the movie takes place in some sort of alternate reality or timeline because all of the buildings and interiors and costumes and hairstyles and technology looks like something out of a sci-fi magazine that came out in the 1950s. This style of retro-futurism, as it's called, is absolutely fucking amazing. It makes the film so interesting to watch in just visual terms. Every scene I would be looking all around the screen, just admiring all the little and big details. It seems that the creators took a long time asking themselves the question, what would people 60, 70 years ago imagine the future would look like? But not the distant future, but the next 10, 15 years or so. It isn't hard sci-fi in any meaning of the word. And then they went and made it happen. Everything. I mean, the little props, the buildings chosen for shooting the film, the backgrounds, the phones and TVs that the characters use, the cars, the clothes, the hairstyles, everyday items like glasses and bottles and ashtrays and chairs. I mean, seriously, in terms of production design, this is just a treat. It has a look and feel uncomparable to anything else. And it seems to never let its guard down in that regard. All the time there's one or another kind of weirdness going on the screen, which makes the whole thing seem alien all the time with no breaks. We never actually feel at home and comfortable with this film, in a good way, of course. And then again, this ties with another theme of the movie, which is the prevalence of fiction in media and in show business and in pop culture. Fiction and lies and pretending to be someone or something you're not, making your entire life a show for the benefit of others. Now, in terms of these themes, I think the movie comes just short of sticking the landing. I'm sure it can also be a bit confusing if you're not paying attention to all the little details that come into play, and some plot points may not be obvious to a casual viewer. Maybe there are even some potential holes or inconsistencies. I didn't notice any, but perhaps. Even if not, regardless of how complete the story is, I do admit that it's hugely convoluted and difficult to keep up with, perhaps. But I don't care about any of that. In fact, I think it's an absolute achievement that the movie was so engrossing to me that I didn't give a flying fuck about searching for any criticism. It is just fantastic. It is by far my favorite film of the year so far. And it came out of nowhere. And I'd urge you, if you have a chance to go and see it, do it, seriously, and hurry up, because based on the amount of people that were on my screening, it won't be playing for a long time. Which is a damn shame, because teraz kłamię is a terrific piece of cinema.